So the purpose of this session is to introduce two core resources. One is a new resource, which is an aggregator dashboard. And the other is the core vocabularies, which has been sort of updated and moved to a new platform. And so I think what we'd like to do is get started with the core vocabularies. And so I'll turn that over to Isabel to share her screen. Thanks, Isabel.
You're very welcome. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's not in full screen mode. Now it is.
Now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You see it fine, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, very good. So I'm going to start. This is an update on the work we've been doing on the COAR controlled vocabularies working group over these last years. First of all, I wanted to show all the people that are involved in this initiative. So I'm just only one of the people involved in this working group that started in 2014. So I believe it's one of the first working groups in COAR. And you see that we have a broad community of people that have been working to make these vocabularies a reality. You'll see we have people from all over the planet, and most of the people are from COAR institutions. This is not a closed a group of people, so if you are interested in joining, please send us an email, because we are always willing to welcome more people, more languages, and make the vocabularies widely known and used. So for the last 2 years, we've been kind of quiet, but it doesn't mean that we didn't work. In fact, they were like very intensive 2 years of work, because as Kathleen anticipated in her presentation, we migrated the vocabularies to a new editorial and publishing system. This really took a lot of time, probably more than anticipated. So what we want to do here is to show you how this whole thing, the initiative looks now. I think, and I hope it's not only me, that the whole effort was really worth it. So now, as it's been always the case, there is a dedicated section for the vocabularies on the official COAR website. We've been updating the information you can find here. But at the same time now, we have another site on internet, which is really the place where people can go and check the vocabularies, get all the updates, and also implement them in their platforms. So on the one hand, we moved to a new management system. For the first years of the initiative, we were using the FAO Bookbench tool to build the vocabularies and to make all the translations of the concepts. And 2 years ago, we decided to move to a new tool that we found more user-friendly, which is AccuVoc. And also, this implied that we changed the member institution giving the technical support. So before, the vocabularies were hosted by the University of Bielefeld library. So big thank, because without them, it would have been impossible to start creating the vocabularies. And now, with the new system, it's the University of Vienna library giving all the server support and also a technical know-how with the tool. We also thank Paul worked from COAR office because he was working very hard to do the migration of the vocabularies and also are responsible for this new publishing site, which is this one. You know that we have 3 vocabularies, is resource types, access rights, and version types. They are called controlled vocabularies for repositories because this is like the main target of users we have, but it's also an increasing number of journals, OGS journals that are using the vocabularies and also GRIS systems. You know also that a big feature of the 3 vocabularies is the multilinguality. Multilinguality, in fact, has been one of the topics today, coming, you know, once and again in the chat. So this is something to emphasize and to expand. Right now we have these many languages for the vocabularies. So resource types, we have 15 languages, access rights vocabulary 13 languages, version types 10 languages. If your language is not represented here, please contribute. Please join the initiative by sending an email to the COAR office. Also, I wanted to emphasize that now with this new look and feel and this new publishing site, we are aligning more and more with the FAIR principles, because these FAIR principles, which are all over the place, are not only impacting on data and on repositories, but also on vocabularies, because there are vocabularies that are more fair than others. So by this, I mean vocabularies that clearly determine the governance and responsibility for its maintenance. Also vocabularies that assign PIDs, unique identifiers, not only to the concepts, but also to the vocabulary itself. Also, the COAR vocabularies are made available not only for human consumption, but also for machines. And here on this site, which is the one where you can find all the information about the vocabularies, you have a lot of metadata, the license, the use license of the vocabularies, all the history of changes, who are the contributors, previous versions, so, you know, fully documented. So you see that this is the way the 3 vocabularies display on the site. There is the description, all the list of all the contributors, links to the different versions. So right now we have 3 versions for the resource types vocabulary, which is going to be the focus of this presentation. You can also access from here the vocabularies in different formats, in HTML, RDF, and also XML. And you have the list, you know, a clear list of all the concepts that are belonging to each of these vocabularies. So it's more clear, it's more intuitive, and easier to use. I'm going to focus on this resource types vocabulary because in reality, during these last 2 years, as I said, we, the editorial board members, we mostly focused on migrating to these new systems and go through a major revision of this vocabulary. This is the first one that was created by the COAR working group. And over these last years, we got a feedback that the vocabulary was not granular enough as regards certain types of resources that you can find in the repositories. So that's why we concentrated a lot on diversifying or enhancing the list of types of data sets or research data. So we created 13 new sub-concepts, which are those that you can find here. Also, for those that don't know the vocabularies well, they have a hierarchical structure. So these are all concepts that fall under a top level concept, which is datasets, which in this vocabulary is referring to research data. For these 13 new sub-concepts, we got inspiration in some concepts from the DDI Alliance. It doesn't mean that all these concepts are originally coming from there, but a big part of them do. So we adapted a little bit the definitions. Also, we worked on patterns classification because there are a number of repositories, institutional repositories, that are also collecting this type of resource. And we only had the top level patent concept in previous versions. So we we are offering now these other sub-concepts. And then we also built or created new concepts or sub-concepts. In total now, the vocabulary has 93 concepts, referring to the wide collection of resource types that we can find in repositories and like-minded initiatives. And this version was released at the end of July this year. We have started to promote widely the vocabularies, but a lot of work is going to concentrate on this promotion side during the next months. It's also important to say that we deprecated some concepts from previous versions because we felt they were not really being used, like having internal reports in an open access repository. We felt it was of little use, but these concepts still are offered in the previous versions, and their permanent identifiers are still working, they still resolve. So for people that decide to keep on using them. So this is a refresh about the structure of the three vocabularies. The three of them are using or are published in SCOS format. As I said, they have a hierarchical structure, and they are multilingual, the three of them. So this is, for instance, like the example of the data management plan. So this is one of the types in this vocabulary. And first you see the definition in English and also the source from where this definition comes. Then you have the URI, which is, it's a pearl. Every single concept in every single vocabulary has a permanent identifier. And then for every single language, there is a main label, a preferred label, but also some languages add alternate labels. It's the people that are taking part in the editorial board, those making all the translations of these concepts. These preferred labels and alternate labels may be misleading because it doesn't mean that a repository has to always choose the preferred label for the integration in its his or her infrastructure. Can perfectly use an alternate label if it's more widely used or known in her country. All of these labels in the end refer to the same URI. So this is one of the more interesting features of the vocabularies, in my opinion. Then also going, forward with this hierarchical structure, every single concept falls under a top level concept within the vocabulary. So in this case, data management plan goes under report, and at the same time, report goes under text. So you see that we have this whole classification. And last but not the least, we relate, or we try to relate, every single concept with similar or related concepts and terms that we find in other dictionaries, classification, and ontologies. So it's important to differentiate that broader concepts is referring to other concepts within the vocabulary, the COAR vocabulary, while the related terms refer to URI supported concepts in other initiatives. As I said, we have started to make this last release more widely known, but it was in the middle of the summer. So now in the fall, we are going to duplicate, multiply our channels of dissemination. We have a feedback form, which is available for any of you and also for your communities. Spread the word. We are always happy to receive any kind of feedback, suggestions, expression of interest, or request to join the editorial board, or request to change something in one of the concepts or in one of the translations, because I don't know, there is a minor typo, a grammatical error, or also to propose new concepts for the future versions of the vocabularies. You see here that when you send the feedback, you can choose one of the types of comments that you want to send, and we will take care of this. It doesn't mean that the suggestions and the requests will be published on the system immediately, but I mean, you can be sure that we will consider and discuss internally in the group. Also, we have an implementation guide. This is the website. It's currently under updating, because we also kept this resource quiet for a couple of years. And so in fact, so if you are implementing all these vocabularies or any of them, it would be great to know, because like this we can grow the list of adopters. It's always useful to list repositories or open journals that are using the vocabularies for reference for the others. And also, if you have implemented the vocabularies in a particular system or software, right now the guide only has technical information to implement them in this space Chris, Samvira, ePrints, Upload, and in OGAs. So what we want to do is to grow this documentation to make it easier, the adoption by the community. And some work ahead. This is, a sneak preview for you to know what we want to do in the next months. So we first of all we feel that we have to provide more support. We also feel that quite a number of people and initiatives and repositories know that the vocabularies that they are not being fully implemented. So we are trying to address this weakness by providing more support. In these new FAQs, we are going to give more information on implementation, on the way the editorial board works, on recommendations on the usage of the three vocabularies. These new FAQs will be published on the main COAR website very soon. Also, we want to be more interoperable with other initiatives. As I told you, in the structure of the vocabularies, you see that we try to relate every single concept with a similar or related concepts in other ontologies and dictionaries. This is an activity that is really time consuming because now and then we go and check that these links to external resources are broken, they are not working anymore. So this requires that we have to go and check the validity of these relations now and then. Right now, we are relating the concepts with concepts in DCMI, Fabio, Vivo, ePrint, but there are many more ontologies and dictionaries out there. Also, this is my feeling that because of this research data momentum and the building of the European Open Science Cloud, more and more ontologies and dictionaries and also the RDA work are promoting the creation of vocabularies that are similar to COARs. So we really have to have a clear picture of all these other vocabularies we should be considering for connection. And as I told you, more uptake. We want many repositories to implement the vocabularies. So this means that the vocabularies have to be not only on the COAR sites, but also in dictionary portals, in registries of vocabulary services. I put here some of them, well-known initiatives. The Love, Bartok, and Fair Sharing are very useful resources to find this kind of semantic resources. Something that some of us within the editorial board are doing is to translate the definitions of the concepts into our own languages, thinking that this is going to ease understanding and adoption in the repositories, because as I show you, the definition right now, it's only in English. For instance, this is something we are doing in the Spanish-speaking community. So together we are working, the Latin American community and the Spain community, translating all the definitions into our Spanish language as a way to foster and ease the adoption. So this could be maybe a good practice in other languages. Also, we are going to start collecting use cases within the COAR community to show that you can use the vocabularies in different situations. And as regards the other two vocabularies that we have, access rights and the version types, over these last 2 years, we didn't really work on them. We didn't review them. But I wanted to say that in representation of the working group, I joined a newly created NISO working group to update their well-known journal article versions, which is the basis of the COAR version types vocabulary. So we will be monitoring what comes out of this NISO working group so that we can update the version types of vocabulary, and we will also review the access rights vocabulary. So you are very welcome to send all the suggestions for us to consider. And now, if we still have 2 minutes, we would like to take the opportunity and collect some feedback from you. So Ilkay, maybe I'm going to stop sharing, and we would like to do a Menti, really short. but it's going to be very useful for the working group.
I just shared the Menti code and the voting link if anyone wants to use any of the other choices, and I will share my screen.
Yes.
Isabel, and you can take over any interpretation on those.
Mm-hmm. So, are you using the COAR vocabulary? It's not any version in specific, but any of the vocabularies in any version. I mean, we know that they are not well known in some communities, but this is going to give us some idea. You know that the vocabularies are part of the open-air guidelines. So a lot of repositories and CRIS systems are implementing them through compliance of these open-air guidelines. Also in Japan, they are widely used, la referencia. Okay. Mm-hmm. And some people here also are not familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe we can move to the next question. Oh, wait, still people are voting.
Sorry.
Okay, so yes is a majority. Which COAR vocabularies are you using? The most granular one is the resource types. The other vocabularies are much smaller with less concepts. Yes, this is a good suggestion, Irina, how aggregators are using them. Yeah, we have to update the implementation guide to capture new uses. So the resource types, yes.
There is a problem because we can only choose one.
Oh,
Is the one that we like.
Sorry, that is on me. That is
We
on
are
me.
selecting the one that we like, not the one that we are using. Not the one that we are using.
I mean, the one you like the most. Yeah, we prepared the Menti, you know, this morning.
Let me just do that quickly.
Okay, so sorry about that, but you know, we felt this was a good opportunity to collect some feedback.
No, Ilka can fix it and we can vote again.
Yes.
No problem.
Thank you.
I think I did it.
Okay.
Let me show you my results screen. I think if you refresh or something, you should be able to.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, it's the resource types. And we hope that with this new version 3, that is including a lot of concepts within the research data ecosystem, is going to be useful for maybe other types of repositories. And yeah, access rights, version types. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
So I move to the next one.
Yes. Okay, so we will be sharing all these, the slides and these results with everybody. And what is missing in the current resource types vocabulary? I don't know if you had time to go through the version 3, which is the newest. This is, you know, just to collect suggestions.
Lautaro has a good comment here. Maybe we should also say, Isabel, when we put this question, we also thought maybe for those people, for those actually who doesn't or who don't use the vocabularies at all, maybe they can also put some comment in here why it's not actually used. I think any input would be useful.
Yes, totally.
Around this anyway.
Totally. I think also because we were quiet doing all this back office work for the last 2 years, maybe some people thought that the vocabularies was not an initiative that we were investing in, but we've really been working a lot. Yeah, we created a working group, yeah, en la referencia. Yeah, so that would be fantastic, and also a good use case, Lautaro, to contribute. We will be putting a strategy to develop all these action lines. Match with cross-ref publication types. This is something to consider. This is something that the DataCite working group has been doing with the latest version. Yeah, matching with DataCite vocabularies. Yes, we have it on the agenda. I mean, I'm saying this because I'm also in the DataCite metadata working group, and I would be very happy that these two initiatives cross. Difficult to answer, but you know, maybe if over the next weeks something comes to your head, to your mind, please use the feedback form we have to collect more input. And we have a last one, Ilkay.
Just note that there is a comment in the chat from Irina. Kuchma, she says, how do you manage translations?
So it's with this IQVoc tool. It's a system to create and to maintain the vocabularies. I'm going to write it here. So it's widely used for people that are building and maintaining the vocabulary. So it's very user friendly. You get into this system, and we all have roles, the members of the editorial board, and we make all the translations and update the definitions if they need so. And then there is also a version of the vocabularies in GitHub. So, yes, I think, Irina, it would be great if you could promote the vocabularies, because we have quite a number of languages, but you know, most of the languages are not yet there. So if we could have more, it would be fantastic. Yes. And the tool is very easy to use, really. No technical profile needed. So what support do you need to implement them? Yeah, so the mapping to DataCite seems to be very important. Yes.
Maybe we should also add, Isabel, because we have these conversations in the community meetings as well, that when we talk about DataCite, we always underline that resource type vocabularies have more granularity comparing to DataCite resource types. So that's at least we know, yeah.
That is one very important advantage. And then another advantage is that the COAR vocabularies are URI supporting concepts, because the DataCite controlled list are flat list of concepts. So this could be, you know, a vocabulary is more aligned with the FAIR principles. What we need to do is an updated release on GitHub. Yeah, also we have to do that. Yes. Yes. We will be, I think, in the fall, we'll try to cover all these activities, register the vocabularies in all these different portals, do the updates on GitHub, enrich the implementation guides, promote translations of the definitions and also more translations of the concepts, collecting use cases from different members that are using the vocabularies. Yeah, more use cases for software platforms. Yeah. I mean, I think it's this whole migration took all our energy doing this huge review of the resource types and migrating the whole thing to a new system. And now finally we will be able to focus on other aspects of the vocabularies. So, I mean, I'm confident. Okay, so if there are no more comments.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes,
Probably that's, yeah.
I think so.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to take more time for the next presentation. So thank you.
Thanks, Isabel. And thanks for all the great work you have done to keep these vocabularies relevant and growing. And I also extend thanks to Johan, Ilkay, and Paul for all their work on them. So the next session, we were going to take a look at the Aggregator Dashboard. We didn't really discuss how we would do this, and so is Laura here?
Yes. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi,
Thank
Laura.
you.
Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
So what would you prefer? Would you prefer to
I prefer to share.
just share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. We turn it over to you then, Laura.
So thank you. Let's try to share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you, Kathleen. Well, I am Laura Bonora from the Spanish Foundation of Science and Technology. And I want to present this new resource that we have prepared with COAR, that is an aggregator dashboard. So, but before I talk about and show you about this dashboard, I want to talk about the background of this new resource. As all of you know, there is a growing number of national, international, and regional repository aggregators, a network that harvests metadata from different repository and other data resources and provide different services such as tracking open access content and discovery of national research output, standardized use of statistics, and so on. So last year, FECYT and COAR promote a meeting with all COAR members aggregator to talk about this this common problem, and how maybe other aggregator fix that problem or can help to other repository aggregators to try to understand how they work it. So the first thing that we thought is that we have to try to know each other, because we need to know who we are, what software we use, what we harvested, or who are the end users. So this was the beginning of this work. And some months ago, COAR sent this survey asking about this information, and we decided to post these profiles of those aggregators on COAR website. That I think in the other session and in the assembly, leave the link to this dashboard on the chat box. So this is
This is the dashboard. As you can see, you can select all you need. This is all of the aggregator. In total, 27 aggregators answer the survey, and you can see all the information that we have of this survey. So we can see, for example, in the case of Recolecta, we can see the name of the aggregator, the acronym, the website, and also the scope, the software that we use, and if we are collected or harvested by other aggregators. And for example, in the case of the software that all the aggregators use, we can see that the most of them use locally development, but some of those use the La Referencia, of course. And if I click La Referencia, you can see, let me click, yes, who use La Referencia and who they are. Of course, Ecuador, Uruguay, Portugal, Peru, Argentina are the countries that we expect to appear. And then again, we can see all the geographic scope, if they are international, they are national or regional. And the idea was to try to see the information that what they are doing. So we can see the type of funder, if they are government funding, institutional funding, external project funding, or a consortium funding. So we try to list all these indicators to try to help us and to ask the same question. For example, in the case of Recolecta, this Spanish national aggregator, if we need to start to talk about statistics, we want to know who are using the same software of Recolecta. So we can check that if we use the net, so we click the net and we can see who other aggregators are using our software. So and what type of data they are collecting, or who are or which guidelines they are using. So we can see here all those repositories that are using the open air guidelines or the local guidelines, also who are using a national guidelines, and so on. We can see of the type of organizational home, type of data providers, support functionality that they provide to others, repositories has validation, use of statistics, metadata curation, and so on. And at the end, we can see who are the main user of the group. So we have here all the information that we collect and all the information that we can use to try to understand who we are and who we can ask for help in an internal form. So this working group not also going to try to talk about this. There are a list of topics that we want to address in different meetings. So I want to just mention a few of those ones, and all the aggregators that are interesting, just have to put in contact with COAR. So the next topic that we want to tackle in this group is, for example, the statistics and the provider of service from aggregator to the repository, APIs or metadata enrichment. Also the delete of duplicate of the different registers, and to try to different kinds of interrelation between aggregators, and also between repository and CRIS system, or from academic and published systems. So this is the idea of this group, to try to help us together and try to work together. And again, have I mentioned, if you are interested in being in this group, working group, or if you are an aggregator and want to be in this dashboard, just click contact COAR, and so we can include your information in this visualization. And I give you the floor again, Kathleen. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Are there any questions about Laura's presentation or the dashboard? I know that Lautaro was mentioning in the chat that there are still some of the national aggregators in Latin America are still missing. And I think one of the things we wanted to do, now that we have the dashboard ready, which is basically it just became ready now, is to go to the working group just to verify that the information we have about each aggregator is correct. And then maybe go also a little wider to see if there are other aggregators that would like to be included in the dashboard. There's a message here a question from Irina. Is there an online form an aggregator could fill out to be included? So the intention is that will happen. We haven't got the form up and running yet. So the idea, all this information that came to us through a survey. And so what we'd like to do is just set the survey up so that anybody who would like to include their information could just fill in the survey, and we'd have the information, and then we could just add it to the dashboard. So just another few comments in the chat. Can be used to identify new discovery tools by researchers and for repos, and see what functionality each offers them. Yeah, and I think, the original intention of this was, as Laura said, sharing practices across the aggregator community, but also trying to raise the visibility and the importance in the community of what aggregators do and what they contribute to the whole scholarly communication landscape. Any other comments? Pilar, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, just to say that this new functionality is true that it's a good tool to start, but the idea is to try to include more aggregators and work together in alignment in the same way. So we can contribute and we can help each other to try to understand not only who are or how they are doing the different things, also to try to fix problems that we have in different years accumulate because sometimes we don't know how to do it, and maybe other aggregators fix it, or maybe other aggregators have an idea, or we can work together in the same way. So this is the start, but we know that this is a great opportunity to be a group and work together in the same line.
Exactly. And again, like we had hoped to be more active last year, and so I know that we didn't do as much as we wanted to do. So this year we're going to try and bring the group together more often around shared topics and get some more momentum behind this particular group.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to add to what Laura said, that of course it was a great opportunity for us to work with you in COAR to get together all the aggregators, since we as the national aggregator for the Spanish repositories community has been feeling kind of weird in different groups like COAR and Opener sometimes, since most of the institutions that were there were repositories. And for us, it has been a great opportunity that COAR has brought us to get in contact with institutions like ours and facing the same problems and facing the same situations. And this is something that I want to thank you, Kathleen, for having very easy to start with, and also to Eloy, that maybe you do remember that the idea was brought up by the three of us in Paris in one of the Opener meetings. So this is a thank you, and this is kind of the inheritance that Eloy is leaving for us. So thank you for the work, and I agree with you on that the technical work that has been done behind the working group that has been done by Laura it's very, very useful and a very good one. So we are happy to share with you the results of the working group.
Thanks, Pilar. So, wondering if there are any last comments or questions. Eloy says he's very pleased to see the results. Irina, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was wondering whether you've ever discussed including a contact email, because I noticed that Irina uses this space in Russia, and we're working with an aggregator in Tanzania that also uses this space. And maybe they would like to discuss something one-on-one, not necessarily joining the group, because maybe joining the group would be a bit high barrier for someone who is not exposed internationally, for example. But if there is also a way to make those one-on-one connections.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're comfortable, I guess we would have to ask if they're comfortable with their email being publicly shared. But I don't see why not.
And it's very useful. Thanks a lot.
I think we will need kind of authorization for you for us to share your emails, but we will discuss it. We have a DPO, data protection officer, very strict in FECYT, so we are very much concerned about the regulations of the general regulation for data protection. So maybe it is possible, but we have to get your permission first.
Yeah.
But I have to mention also that the dashboard not include any personal data. It's just the repository data as general.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can discuss that at our next meeting, whether it's possible. I guess we could always have the contact email of the aggregator, which is a non-personal email, if it's a non-personal email.
Maybe the general one, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Well, it looks like we're finishing up. Thank you so much, Laura and Pilar, for this dashboard and showing it to us. Thank you, Isabel, for all the work you've done on the vocabularies. Thank you, everyone, for attending the meeting. We really appreciate your presence here and your input and your discussions. And we will see you all in May because the next COAR annual meeting will be in May. So if we don't see you before via a webinar or other side meetings, we will definitely see you in May. So thank you very much, everyone.